Hello.
And welcome to Fireside Chat number
20.
Number 20, 2 decades of Fireside Chat. Well, not exactly, but
no.
We're infrequent. It's been a long time since we started it, isn't it?
And I've just remembered, as I remember every time we do Fireside Chat, that I'm sitting in the creaky chair, so I will try and...
And I'm in the posh chair. I brought it from home.
Which also makes him look very tall and me very small.
Which is a total
wizened
illusion.
little man in the corner.
It's like a special effect. It's like The Hobbit.
Anyway, we those of you who follow us on Facebook or our newsletters will know this, but
it's exciting.
We've got some news about Tricks in the Sticks, haven't we?
Yes.
You tell them.
It's going to be great. That's the first news, and the second news is my great friend Buster Balloon will be attending. Buster Balloon, the greatest
Balloon coming over from America,
performer in the world, surely.
Is coming over and he's going to be part of Tricks in the Sticks, so we're really looking forward to that.
Right, can we get him to do his cabaret act on the evening show?
We are hoping to do so, yes.
Absolutely.
As well as a lecture.
Top bloke.
So that's the first.
And his lovely wife as well, Annie Banani.
Yes.
She's fantastic as well.
Well, I'm looking forward to meeting both of them.
Yeah, you'll enjoy meeting them, you'll enjoy spending time with them, and of course in the venue people will be able to talk to them and interact a lot more in the evening. It should be great fun.
You better not go on anymore, because those who haven't got tickets for Tricks in the Sticks are going to feel sick as well.
Oh, but if you haven't got your tickets yet, you can't have one.
No, you can. Possibly can.
Get on the. I think
we've got about 7 on the waiting list at the moment. But then this year, when we ran Tricks in the Sticks, everybody who was on the waiting list.
Yeah, I was going to say nobody was turned away last year because people drop out as the date approaches. There's illness and commitments and shows. People do drop out for all kinds of unfortunate reasons, and it's likely to happen again as it gets closer. So get yourself on the waiting list. There's only 7 on it, you say, so far.
7.
Oh well.
So
20 on it last year, didn't we?
27.
Oh right.
It was.
So and they all got a ticket. So
a little while ago we introduced something called Controversy Corner.
Oh, I know what that means then. It means let's introduce. We're going to do it again.
Well, we're going to do a controversy. How did you guess?
Yeah, well, when you said Controversy Corner, I was right there. Okay, so let's have a Controversy Corner.
Controversy, 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 controversy.
Corner. And that theme tune is available on CD if you get in touch with me. I sell them out the back of my car at shows. It's a quality product.
I believe you've had some letters about it.
Yeah, all the people who wrote to me about that, then that is available.
Were many of them complaints?
Some of them, yeah.
Right. So what is?
Well, I thought let's go the whole hog and tackle the most divisive subject on all the Magic forums. I mean, this has got people thrown off some of the bigger forums like the Magic Cafe, and it's resulted in many deleted threads and posts.
This is a huge build-up.
Yeah.
What is the topic?
It's the old debate. Does size matter? Big props versus small props.
Oh.
Are audiences more impressed if you turn up with a van load of stuff, or can you do just as good a show if you walk in with a briefcase and a piece of rope and a thumb tip and wow them in that way? And this kind of it's caused a lot of fuss on them. I thought it'd be worth discussing, and I could go either way on it. So I'm going to read something actually, because there's a guy called Danny Hustle from Boston, and I actually read one of his posts on the Magic Cafe, and it changed my view of the subject altogether, because I was very much the big prop guy. I used to be very obsessed with buying the latest and greatest props and spending an awful lot of money on routines, and I thought that was I thought that was what would.
Was this a way of masking some other inadequacy?
Well, maybe. I thought it would catapult me to fame, and that was That was what I needed to do. And it was this post which actually got deleted. The whole thread got deleted. But I actually had enjoyed the post so much, almost in anticipation that it would get deleted. I copied and pasted it into a document, and then asked him if I could reproduce it in my first set of lecture notes. So I'll just read one of it was a very long post, 2 pages long, but I'll read the main thrust of it, where it says, in my experience, and this may just be me or my part of the country or whatever, the guys that make 3 trips to the car and have all the latest and greatest flying plywood widgets are often horrible performers. They think that if they buy this flying magic widget, people will think their show is awesome. They believe in their heart of hearts that their audience cares how much junk they have. The only time an audience cares about that is if they think your show is horrible, or worse, mediocre, and they give you an A for effort because you looked in a lot of stuff. And that's what he had to say on that. Well, was one of the many things he had to say.
Strong words.
I may go back to Danny and quote some of his other things he mentioned in there later.
So, if you followed that to its conclusion,
cheers.
Yes, I haven't got one. The ideal show would fit into a matchbox.
Well, I'm not sure about that. Well, having said that, to me, though, one of the if I'm going to see a show,
not swing around in that chair too much.
Well, I'm enjoying it. I feel rather
managerial.
Taking back to my cruising days. This one, I mean, on the ships. It feels like the old days.
Sorry, were you just waiting?
Where was I? What was I saying? I've lost my way.
No idea. John was having a slurp.
It was.
I just said that if you follow that argument right the way through, then the best show is going to be one that fits into a match. Yeah,
and I was going to say, to me, as a consumer of entertainment, as a customer, as a audience member, one of the things I enjoy most is going to see somebody like Billy Connolly or a really great stand-up comedian who will walk out with nothing. I went to see Richard Herring last week, walked out with absolutely nothing, one microphone in the middle of the stage, and will hold an audience with just his views on life and his musings on the world, and it's just hilarious. I mean, a really good stand-up comedian to me is the purest form of entertainment.
Well, I mean, closer to home, we recorded 2 years ago, Gary Dunn. And one of the discs that we put out was doing a show with absolutely nothing.
Magic show with nothing, yeah.
Didn't we?
And something that stuck with me for talking about that particular show, he just on that disc, we included a show he did at a holiday park where he did the love story, which is it was one of the funniest. That he said it wasn't a particularly good performance of that. It wasn't the best, and I know how he feels because very often when you do video something, you think, "Oh, I wish it was the one last." Sometimes the kids aren't responding in the best way, but there was
he did 40 minutes, didn't he?
It was like 45 minutes. A microphone. He says, "I just need a microphone. Put me 2 chairs on the stage, and that's it." And the first half of the show is auditioning the kids. The second half is performing this story.
And we ought to explain that this is done in a crowded. Holiday
park, typical performing environment.
You've got adults who are drinking at the back and just chatting amongst themselves, and Gary somehow has to hold the attention, otherwise they're all going to just drift away, and he did it brilliantly.
And I'm not really going off the subject, but that has stuck with me for so long that one of my catchphrases now is beautiful. I say that all the time, and that comes from that thing. You're beautiful. It's because Gary, there's a point where there's a girl, and he has them waltzing round together with a tiny little boy, and this girl who's like double his height, and they look so awkward, and it's so funny watching them waltz around the room, and he just goes, "That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful." And it's just this, and it's the most awkward thing you've ever seen. And that stuck with me, and yet I can't remember the last time I saw a decent performance of a chair suspension at a kid's birthday party.
Well, of course, you don't have to go quite the size of a chair suspension, do you? But I mean, there are some people who would regard Run Rabbit Run or Our Magic Painting as really too large. There are also people, I think, who, when they buy a large prop, feel that the job is done.
I think that's the main argument. I think the argument...
Here's my prop, I've spent a lot of money on this, it looks great, you will be entertained.
I think that's the main argument. I think we're not saying big props are bad, because obviously they're not. David Copperfield didn't do him any harm. He owns his own island. We're not saying large props are bad.
I'm a dealer.
Not all illusionists are bad. Then if you extrapolated that, then all illusionists would be terrible, because they've all got big props, and yet there are some fantastic, incredible illusionists out there, and there are some rather bad ones who just seem to buy a prop. And
that is the danger of a
sloppy.
big expensive prop, isn't it? That you somehow feel that prop is going to do the work for you, instead of feeling that the presentation is everything, which is what I would contend. Here's this fantastic, all singing, all dancing, wonderful looking prop. It is going to do my job.
And of course, you can get stand-up comedians who walk out with nothing and are terrible. I mean, it doesn't make them good that they're not using any props.
Would you feel that would you like to actually turn up at a party with just a little briefcase and say, this is it?
Yes. In fact, my wife and I were discussing this. Tamar and I were discussing this, and it's her goal to take her show to parties in a pencil case.
And what do you
she would
think?
love to get a show out of a pencil case.
What do you think the parents would think? The parents who booked you?
I personally, after 35 years of experience, think the parents have the only expectation parents generally have, if they haven't seen you, of a kid's magician, is that they will be awful. And if you are not awful, they'll think. I think expectations. But that's one thing that's really good about being a kids entertainer. Expectations are in the gutter. You
wonder how they ever get.
And I would think, and most people watching this will have to admit that when you go and do a show and you do a good job, the reaction is astonishment. They'll come up and say, "I can't believe you had those kids sitting there for an hour." And you think, well, that's what you booked. You wouldn't say that to a builder who just built you. I can't believe those bricks have gone into a wall. You wouldn't, would you? That's their job. That's what they do. That's what we should be able to do. And yet, they must have seen bad ones, or the image must be so bad that I don't think they have very many expectations at all.
Do you think that? Okay, here I'm going to be really controversial. Do you think that people buy bigger props to mask a lack of ability?
Are they covering their inadequacies slightly? Some people may. I mean, again. I think we've got to say.
Question, you see.
I think we've got to say we're not against the props as such. It's performers make a show, isn't it? So, and there will be some people who buy big props because they feel. Even if you buy an animatronic puppet or an animatronic, you need to be able to present it in a certain way. I don't think there is a prop where you can flick a button and walk away and let the prop do all the work. I think audience would be less satisfied with that if you walked up, flicked a switch, walked off, and it ran through a set sequence of motions, and then you went back in your car. I think people would say, well,
why did we bother?
Why did he bother turning up? He could have just dropped it off.
I mean, I can see both sides of the argument because I'm a dealer. And we sell some larger props, we sell some very small props. Which is better? It depends entirely on the needs of the particular entertainer. And I'm sure that there are some entertainers who would do miracles with, I don't know, gypsy thread, for instance.
Well, yeah, interesting enough, we were... who was the guy? It was Michael Fitch was lecturing at... Kidology
a few years back,
and the two things that I liked most in his act, which was fantastic, and I know he had some large props. I couldn't actually tell you what large props he had, because I
But
can't
you remember the small
But
ones.
I remember Gypsy Thread being a real standout moment. This emotional piece that he did with Gypsy Thread, with the story about his granddad and doing the Gypsy Thread. I remember that with a reel of cotton. I remember him picking the bell from the drawing board at the end of the drawing board routine and getting so much from this little tiny bell.
He'd drawn a picture of an elf.
An
was
elf.
it? One of Santa's
Erased
elves,
it.
and he erased it completely.
Apart from the bell, then he took the bell and the bell had gone, and it was.
And it was a genuine bell which he gave to one of the children.
And so
at
it's
the
the
party.
these little things are often the things you remember. I'm not saying the big props are bad, but they're the things that stuck in my mind from that performance. It was a fantastic performance.
I can't help feeling that as a booker, as a parent, you have paid a substantial amount of money for you to come along. If you turn up with a pencil case, I'm going to think you're going to have to do a lot to convince me. And you might or might not do that.
Well,
if you turn up with a big table full of props,
So you're saying-
I'm half won over.
Perceived
I
value
think-
is what you're
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about here. You say
Yeah.
that's the phrase that's bandied around a lot on the Magic Forum. It's all about perceived value. But does that make any difference if you go on and you suck? If you've got, as Danny was saying, it is the best that can happen. They'll say, well, it was rubbish, but he carried in a lot of props. Maybe if you were brilliant with all the props as well, you've got
Well,
to deliver.
that's the
Whichever the thing, you've got to deliver the goods. Basically, you've got to deliver on your promises.
I think that
I'm very keen on starting with expectations low anyway. I'm very keen on walking out, and so I do. I suppose my setup isn't small. I have big puppets. They're expensive. I've got two big.
But
puppets.
you turn up with a tatty suitcase.
It's not tatty. I turn up with two flight cases.
I'm sure it was a tatty one the last time I saw it.
No, they're beautiful, and they're beautiful. The two flight cases.
Tatty.
They're not tatty. They're rather nice, and they were very expensive. Each one cost £100.
Yes, but how long ago?
I replaced these like 2011. I'm not on trial here.
I think you'll find you are.
And I do have some quite expensive props. I've got a Axtel remote drawing board in there, which is nearly £1,000. I've got
8,000.
nearly 1,000.
Oh, nearly 1,000. Sorry, I misheard you.
I've got
I thought his
two.
prices had gone up recently.
I've got two big Axtel puppets, the Beast and Charlie. A couple £100 each. I mean, there's probably lots of value props in there, but I don't want to display them. I don't want to set them out on display. They all stay in their cases, come out, go back in. I want it to be a surprise because I think a closed box is more intriguing than which is why Deal or No Deal is so exciting. A closed box is far more intriguing than putting everything on display. It's, tricks are often more exciting if they're just covered partially with a flap of silk. I'm getting it.
Well, yes. I mean, as I say, I sit on both sides of the fence. As a dealer, we sell all sorts of things, and I say it comes down to the individual need and the what somebody feels most comfortable with. And there'll be those who want to put their show into a shoebox, and there'll be those who feel thoroughly uncomfortable. And I do take John's point that what you deliver is the most important thing. It doesn't matter whether you've got large props, whether you've got small props. If the booker feels at the end of the day that you have really delivered, then they're happy.
No, I think that's the only thing. It's don't hide behind props thinking they're going to do the work for you. You're the one out there in front. The props should be incidental.
Every book on magic, whether it's kids magic or any other magic, says the most important thing is you. And when you're reading this, you think, you must be joking. Come on, I'm dull. Because you live with your personality all the time. You know what you're like. This is an unscheduled phone call it's been picked up
It
already.
was Steve Brooks from the Magic Cafe saying he's about to delete this podcast.
But every book says the most important thing is you, your personality, and that's what it comes down to. It doesn't matter whether you're
You're selling yourself, and I think
small.
maybe it is true that when you buy something really big, you've invested more than just the money in it. You get excited about it arriving, and you may be excited about the workmanship and the craftsmanship and how great it is, how clever it is, and maybe it's hard to admit to yourself that it doesn't suit your style. A lot of things you buy don't suit you, and you end up not using them. But when you just paid some £1,000 out for something, maybe it's a lot harder to admit to yourself that it's not going to suit you.
Well, just to draw these threads together, we would like to hear what you think.
Yes.
So if you would like to contact us with
Okay.
your views, sorry, kicking you,
Yes, all right.
with your views, we would be delighted to hear. And if we hear from you,
There's no need for this kind of debate to be really divisive and really.
No.
Because
We haven't come to
think
blows.
the one thing we can agree on is that all that matters is the quality of the entertainment. Whether it's a big prop or a small prop, I can enjoy watching a stand-up comic with a microphone. I can enjoy going and watching a West End musical with all the bells and whistles and a massive stage set, as long as I walk away thinking I've been thoroughly entertained. So I think it's how you make the prop entertaining, and how you, and no prop, no matter how big or small, is going to do the work for you.
well, that's a nice diplomatic way to finish
Well, yeah, I think that's
this controversy corner.
yeah.
So there we
So
are. But
that
do
was
let
a
us know what you
controversy
think.
corner.
Do let us know what you think.
And yeah, write in, phone in now. We've got one call already in.
Furious. Cheryl's dealing
Cheryl's
with it.
dealing, the switchboard is dealing in it.
Um,
We're going to wrap this Fireside Chat up then. Is this number 20?
This is number 20.
Oh,
so
number
yes.
20, so
And we'll see you again very soon.
see you again soon.